So, tell us a little about the Syria campaign. What is it?
Yeah, so a bit about my background in Syria. I first went there in 1998 and spent a couple of years living there in 2007 in Yarmouk camp. And obviously, after the uprising started in 2011, so many terrible things happened. But from my perspective as somebody living in the UK and Europe, one of the hardest things to take was the misunderstanding and miscomprehension of a lot of that audience. So earlier this year, we started up, after the 3rd anniversary, if you could go back, that'd be great. We started this thing called the Syria campaign, which is targeting people in Europe and North America primarily, so not really you guys who know what's going on a lot more than they do, but to try and really get them engaged while the media and the politicians turn away, and try and use that engagement for advocacy. So we think, beyond the humanitarian work that is so critical, there's a lot of really important advocacy and campaign work that needs to be done to improve the situation. So I'm just going to show you a short video, which is, well, actually, before that, I'll say the very first campaign we ran was against the UN. So, for those of you who are...
Nice!
Sorry? It's fine, that's fine. So, yeah, before you play this video, don't play it yet, just to say there's a lot of campaign work we need to do on ourselves as people from, the UK and Europe, etc. But after that UN campaign and lots of other work, we thought one of the main problems with our target audience, people in the UK, Europe, and the US, is that they see Syria as just full of bad people. They see a suited dictator, they see a bearded jihadi, and they don't see 99% of Syrians in between who are the real heroes, dealing with the day-to-day violence and, surviving amid all the horror. So we met this group of people who are known as the civil defense, the Difa al-Madani in Aleppo and Idlib, who are doing amazing work digging people out of the rubble of the barrel bombs, but also risking their lives to save and to rescue regime soldiers' bodies from sniper alleys, because they really embody these kind of humanitarian principles. So we went and made a bunch of videos with them. I'll just show you this one out of 4, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about them.
كنت أعمل قبل الثورة مدرس تربية رياضية.
كنت أشتغل قبل الثورة بمحل فطاير.
كنت أعمل بالمجال الصيدلي.
كنت طالب جامعة كيمياء تطبيقية.
طالب معهد طبي تصوير شعاعي.
نجار بيتون.
مندوب مبيعات.
خياط.
قبل الثورة كنت بشتغل مجال البناء، حالياً بأنقاذ الناس.
هلا حاليا عم بشتغل منقذ
للأطفال، منقذ للأهالي.
وحاليا بشتغل بمجال الدفاع المدني بمدينة دارتس.
وهلا أنصر دفاع مدني.
وهلا حاليا بالإنقاذ بالدفاع المدني.
So the white helmets, the civil defense, now have 2 new women's teams who are amazing, and we're running a crowdfunding campaign to get them 6 ambulances. Now the idea behind this campaign isn't just to get them money, but again to show the world that there are heroic Syrian women on the front line, saving lives, digging people out from under the barrel bombs that the international community is failing to stop. So One of those women, the one on the far left, Fatima, she has 3 kids. When they started their work, there was a lot of also local resistance in the community. People joked saying, "Where's your mustache? You're doing a man's job," this kind of thing. But they started digging people out from under the rubble, and very quickly their reputation rose. I'm sure some of you know with chemical attacks, you have to strip the clothes off the victim and wash them down. So many families would rather have one of them rescuing their relatives. So the work that they do isn't just important to show the outside world, it's also important we give them solidarity to help, support them within their communities.
So the Syria campaign is a lot about stressing the importance of advocacy, right, as an important piece of humanitarian work. Do you want to talk about that? You used to work for Greenpeace, right? So what's the important part of advocacy? What can we reach with advocacy then?
I don't know if this is working, but I'll try and project my voice.
The mic is on, for sure. Yeah.
So, I do believe fundamentally that advocacy is critical. And one of the sad things, I think, about the Syria space is that there's much too much imbalance between just humanitarian response and advocacy to deal with the root problems. I do think we need more attention on the politics. This is it's an interactive website. You click on that little blue thing at the bottom, or you flick it on your smartphone, and it scrolls for days. And then you find the one tiny little picture that represents the 90 Syrian refugees that the UK has resettled, a completely feeble figure. But we wanted to find a way to communicate that isn't just numbers, because people can't understand millions. And if you go to the next slide, I don't know if you can see that. This is also the type of communication we're telling to our target audience. The UK has sent 500 citizens to go and fight in Daesh, and they're killing Syrians, and yet the UK has only accepted 50 Syrian refugees for resettlement. This is not a distant conflict for us. Like, we are very much involved in it. So that's the message we're trying to drive home.
And you use a lot of social media, right? With one simple tweet, you reach.
Yeah, so
impact.
This is a little story about how we campaign a bit. We got a message on Thursday night, about 6 weeks ago, that the Italian government was blocking sanctions on aviation fuel to the Syrian regime. So the whole of the EU wanted to stop this aviation fuel going from Europe to Syria, but the Italians said no. So we heard about this on Thursday night. On Friday, we launched a campaign, both emails to the Italian Foreign Minister, Federica Mogherini, but also she's active on Twitter. We kind of hammered her and got some celebrities to tweet her too. Very quickly, she changed her position and then got very upset with us quite quickly. One of my proudest moments.
A lot of exclamation marks, no, in that tweet.
Getting a foreign minister to use 6 exclamation marks in one tweet. It's kind of an achievement. But then we had the following week that from 2 different governments that they'd gone all the way up to the top to try and get Italy to change their position, but they wouldn't change. And then a bit of public pressure turned them around in 2 hours. So it's really an example of what we can all do by bringing things into the public and by kind of coming together to campaign on these important issues.
So if you have something to ask to this audience or something to request from the humanitarian community, what is it?
It's really your intelligence, and I don't mean just your brain power. I mean the things you know, because I know some of you work for organizations where you can't say publicly or campaign publicly because it's difficult for you. Well, I'd love you to come and speak to me. Come speak to us. Maybe we can run something around that issue. So yeah, your intelligence, and obviously on a practical front, if you know people with lots of money, we'd love to expand and be a lot more impactful. So yeah, introducing me to your rich friends.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.